We're going to be talking a whole lot about branded today. Hey guys, Otak here, back with another Market Watch, and today we're going to be looking at just a lot of branded shit and then like a couple extra things. So a lot of the cards we're going to be talking about today, I was actually supposed to upload a Market Watch last week, but I got preoccupied with my sister's wedding and I was really busy all last week, so I only managed to get one video up, so I never actually got the chance to record a second Market Watch. So today we're going to be, again, looking at a bunch of branded cards, and then the cards that are not branded related are cards that I was supposed to talk about last week. But before we do jump on into the Market Watch, I have noticed that a great deal of you that are watching this video right now are not currently subscribed to the channel. So if you like competitive-based content, whether it's advanced format or Genesis format, then consider subscribing to the channel for more. But also, don't forget to leave a like on this video and comment down below what cards I should look at in next week's Market Watch. Furthermore, it is not required, but it is always appreciated. But if you would like to further support the channel, then consider joining my community Discord, following me over on Twitch, and using my TCG affiliate link. And if you would like to save 15% off the next time you want to buy a playmat, a deck box, or even some brand new card sleeves, then consider using my Dueling Guard affiliate link. All links be in the description down below. All right, we have a lot, and I mean a lot, to talk about today. But the first thing is that we are going to be looking at the new OTS Ultimate Rares from OTS 29. That's right, we had a brand new OTS come out since the last time I did a Market Watch, and with it came the Ultimate Rares of Cupsy Yummy Way, K9 Jocool, and Keto Draco Tail, all of which are three very powerful decks in the current format. And the current price for Cupsy Yummy Way Ultimate Rare sitting at about $30. Now, when I originally talked about this last week in the lost recording of the last week's Market Watch, this was actually still sitting at about $50. So it has actually calmed down even further to about $30 a copy. And honestly, this makes sense. First off, it was super overpriced to begin with because there were not very many on the market, just simply because the OTS had just came out. So they weren't populating the market at the current moment. And at this point, a lot of OTS packs have been open, so they're everywhere now. So the Cups Yummy Way sit about $30, but also between the three Ultimate Rares, this is the only one that's a one of. So for my fellow Yummy players, you're eating pretty good. You only spend $30 for your Ultimate Rare, and honestly, you could probably get an even better deal depending on, if you know somebody who pulled it. Moving on to Jocool, though, you're looking at about $35 to $40. A lot less on the market, as you can see here. Like the Cups Yummy Way, the top listing had like 12 copies. And sure enough, we're sitting at about $35 a copy, and that's because Jocool's a 3 of, and since he's a 3 of, there's less copies on the market, which in turn causes the price to go up because there's higher demand but less supply. So, economics. And sure enough, Keto Draco Tail is pretty much similar, except there are nothing on the market. Keto Draco Tail is sitting at about $50 for the cheapest copy. Again, a 3 of in the deck, and there are 4 listings. Now, this guy right here has supposedly 6. This guy has 9. This guy has 3. But, these two right here, you're paying $80 a copy for your Ultimate Rares. I don't know about that. Let's move on to branded, shall we? We'll talk a little bit more about non-branded cards towards the end of the video, but let's talk about branded. More specifically, high rarity branded. So, branded just recently had a bunch of new support revealed for Burst Protocol. On top of that, it just got some new support in the brand new structure deck that just came out in the spell card, The Fallen the Virtuous, and there was a new fusion monster. Well, because of that, branded is actually a good deck again. I mean, it was always good. It was always a fine rogue option. Honestly, with the new support coming out in Burst Protocol, plus the stuff we just got in the structure deck, I think this might be another tier 1 strategy. I'm not gonna lie. Well, because of that, branded being one of the fan favorites of the Yu-Gi-Oh community, not just in gameplay-wise, but lore, it has a lot of high rarity cards, and they're really expensive, and people are willing to fork over the money for those really expensive. Let's look at the big head honcho, the Starlight Rare from Photon Hypernova. Now, when this card released, it was $500. It kind of went down a little bit over time to $300. There's 3 listings left and it's $750 a copy. The crazy part here is that if we look at the last month, 13 copies sold, highest being 750. Someone paid $750 for a copy of Starlight Mirror Jade. Branded players are crazy. They will fork over any dollar amount to have the shiny cardboard. And we're going to get into this more because we have plenty more high rarity branded cards to talk about. But there's a reason I stopped, 1, playing branded, but 2, stopped trying to max rarity branded. And it's because this is Probably one of the, if not the most expensive deck to max rarity. Moving on to Despy and Lulu Wild Lilith. So Lulu was not reprinted in the structure deck, and Lulu is a fairly good card. Not necessarily a mandatory card in the branded deck, but still a very good card. Also, it's seeing some mild experimentation in random decks in the Genesis format. Looking at about $17, $20 a copy for the secret rares, regardless of which set it's from. And then the Starlight rare from Cyberstorm Access, I believe is what it was from, is sitting at about whatever it wants to load, $130, and 10 listings left on the market. For reference, I bought this about a year back, a Starlight rare. I have since sold it, but I bought a Starlight rare of Lulu Wild Lilith a year back for $80. It has spiked by $40 because of all the brand new support coming out. Moving forward, we have the Granganol Starlight rare from also Photon Hypernova, and again, when I bought one of these as well for like $80, looking at $300 and only 4 listings. If you have max rarity branded, I feel like you should just sell it, make a couple grand, especially if you're not planning on playing this deck. Like $300, again, I'm so glad I'm not max rating this deck anymore, because it would be too much to keep up with. If you're buying these cards, you're rolling in the money. Let's take a quick step back from max rarity branded real quick, and let's look at a card that also, just like Lulu Wild Lilith, was not reprinted in the structure deck, and that is Albion the Sanctifier Dragon. A card that's been doing degenerate shit in branded for a very, very long time, summoning out the gimmick Puppet Nightmare, and there was a possibility it was going to be summoning out the Mjolnir as well, because Mjolnir was a light monster, but Konami nipped that in the butt real quick. And again, was not reprinted in the Albaz or the Virtuous structure deck. So yeah, only has 2 printings. Both are secret rare, and they're both sitting at about $37 to $45-ish, give or take. Honestly, I know for a while now, and I don't know what new branded looks like, but I know for a while now, branded hasn't really even been playing this. They've just been playing like Light and Darkness, Dragon Lord, stuff like that. I don't know how necessary Albion the Sanctifier Dragon is specifically. I mean, it does cool stuff with branded. Like, you can summon a guy out of your graveyard to your opponent's field, and a guy out of, you know, an Albaz out of your graveyard to your field, and then Albaz to fuse. Like, it instigates Albaz plays, which is what the whole branded deck is designed to do. But again, I don't know how needed it is, and even so, it's probably going to see a reprint sooner or later. Like, this one might be cope. Back to talking about max rarity, though, we have Fallen of Albaz, the ultimate rare from OTS 29. This was like $7 at one point, and now it's about $20, give or take, like 15 to 16, even $20. Like, not very many listings left in the under $20 range. This ultimate rare does look good, I won't lie. He does have a QCR, but the ultimate rare, I believe, is the more expensive version. We do have the QCR, though, from Rarity Collection, which is actually a little higher. It is closer to 20 than the ultimate rare is, but either way, like QCR, ultimate rare, whichever one you choose, it's going to be about $20 a copy. Then we have a Luber, and he does have an OTS ultimate rare, and he has a QCR, both of which are about under $10 a copy. What the card that everyone's going for is the Luber Alt-Art QCR from Stampede, and this is sitting about $50 a copy. Speaking of branded fusion, though, the ultimate rare from OTS 22, this also has a QCR, but the QCR hasn't budged, and honestly, the ultimate rare hasn't either. But the ultimate rare did see a spike when it came back to 2 on the last Forbidden Limited list, or like 2 lists ago, I mean. No, the last list. But again, this card's sitting at like $40 to $50 a copy, give or take. We're not going to count the damaged one. But branded as max rarity, like, if you ain't rich, don't try. Simple as that. If you ain't rich, don't even try. Let's take a break from branded here, and let's talk about some other things going on in the format. So do Sulfur Cutia. Sulfur is a deck that got some support in Doom of Dimensions. However, it is also seeing some play in Yummy. Yummy Sulfur is a legit deck. It's actually my personal favorite version of the deck. I made a guide-ish to the deck in last week's video, so I'll leave a link in the description below for that. And I actually plan on making an in-depth guide to the deck here real soon. But the deck plays very similar to Melodious Snake Eye way back when, and it's very powerful. But Sulfur Cutia being one of the harder ones to find because it only has 1 printing from Ancient Guardians, a super rare, matter of fact. and it's sitting at about $3-4 a copy. Now, you do only need one realistically to play the deck. However, I am seeing some people play Cutia and all the other ones at 3, just maxing out on your Soulful Cord cards. So to each their own on that, but the bare minimum is 1, and again, about $3-ish a copy. We then also have Grand Silver Cord Musekia from Dawn of Majesty. This was an ultra rare from Dawn of Majesty, and I believe a little bit harder to find because I opened a lot of Dawn of Majesty, and I don't have a single one of this in my bulk. But this card doesn't always see play in the Soulful Cord Yummy deck. Some people are cutting it, some people are running it. I'm personally running it. This card's only like $2 a copy, but as you can see here, it did see an increase, but I think this is more in tribute to the fact that the deck itself got support rather than it being played in Yummy. Talk a little bit about Genesis format, but also not just Genesis format. So Exo Sisters, one of the best decks in Genesis format, or maybe not so for much longer, because as of recording this video, we did get the Genesis point list update, and Exo Sister and some cards it plays are seeing some points increases. So we'll see how Exo Sister adapts from this point on. But Exo Sister got some support revealed that actually is pretty competent for Burst Protocol. And because of that, Exo Sister is seeing a price increase. We're seeing the Prismatic Secret Rares jump in price for cards like Ellis being $5. We're seeing the Sophia being another $3 to $4. Martha is the card that has really been skyrocketing. The Power of the Elements being $5, and the Prismatic Secret from the Tins being anywhere from $11 to $12. We have the Michaelis Secret Rare, the Prismatic Secret Rare, being another $7 a copy. And then PAX does have a QCR because it was in one of the rarity collections, and this is about a $11 to $12 card. Furthermore, Martha and Michaelis have high rarity cards, so does Magnifica, but like Martha is sitting at, for a Starlight Rare, about $85 to $90. Even just the Ultra Rare from Michaelis is $6 copy. We have Sophia CR being about $11 to $12 a copy. The Michaelis, $40 for the Collector Rare, if that is what you're trying to get your hands on. The Magnifica Starlight Rare is sitting at about $40 a copy, whereas the QCR is only about $14 a copy. My general consensus with the Exo Sister cards is if you didn't buy these cards prior to the support and Genesis being a thing, then you are going neg for sure. If you owned these cards because this was like a pet deck of yours, then you've plus to the moon. Because a lot of these cards were really cheap, like the Starlight Rares, the CRs, the QCRs. A lot of these cards were incredibly cheap, like a month and a half ago. So if you didn't already own these cards, yikes. Let's talk about Grisale Prison. So D-Barrier has banned as of today of recording this video. D-Barrier is officially banned. So as everybody predicted when the ban list did drop, people are going to be looking for alternatives. Something to do the same thing, but maybe at a lower power. Grisale Prison is the next best thing. So this card has two printings. One is a rare from Shadow Specters. The other one is super rare from Fusion Enforcers. The super rare is the one that's going up in price, being at about $3 to $4 a copy. And it is also a normal trap that can be set off of Thrust. But if you control a face-up monster that was Tribute, Ritual, or Fusion summoned until the end of your opponent's next turn, neither player can Synchro Xyz summon, and Synchro Xyz monsters cannot attack. Also, their effects are negated. So this is basically like half of a D-Barrier. In a format where Synchro summoning or Xyz summoning are very prominent, but also Fusion summoning and Ritual or Tribute summoning is prominent for maybe some other decks, this card will see a lot more play. This is nowhere close to the equivalent of D-Barrier by any means, because again, you have to be, to even be able to play this card, you have to be playing a Ritual monster, a Fusion monster, or a monster that got Tribute summoned. So very, very specific decks run that stuff. Now, in the current format, we have Branded being able to Fusion summon, we have Mitsurugi Ritual summoning, hell, even K9 can just, instead of using their normal summon, if you have more than 2 cards in your hand, they can just Tribute summon instead. So again, this is very specific. It's nowhere close to D-Barrier. I think in the current format it has a place, but this is a card that we will see fade in and out a lot more frequently than D-Barrier ever did. That being said, though, this card also did just get some points on the most recent Genesis update list, and that kind of means that Konami has this card on the radar. And if that's the case, we could see this card also get banned if it sees any mass widespread play amongst the advanced format. Next, we have number 3, Cicada King. This card is seeing Quite a bit of play in Genesis specifically because Radiant Typhoon can play this, decks like Madolche play this. Any decks that can just put up a rank 3 are playing this because it is a monster negate. Funny enough, Distant Coder just recently discovered that this card reads like a trigger effect, but it acts like a quick effect, which is really funny. Well, because of its somewhat success in play, it is seeing about a $3-ish price tag right now, which is still not bad, especially since it is, for the most part, a one-of. However, again, just like Rosali Prison, this did just get a point increase on the Genesis list, so that might affect the market here in the coming days. Let's wrap this video up with even more branded discussion. Harmonic Synchro Fusion from Maze of a Millennia. We're going to be talking about the Ultra Rare and the Collector Rare here. This is a card that was bound to skyrocket in price. If you did not pick up multiple copies of this card prior to this video, then you have certainly lost out on money because this card went from being a $2 ultra rare to about a $10 to $15 ultra rare. Again, it's pretty much bought out, non-existent at the current moment. This card is getting bought out simply because it can be played in branded when the new support and burst protocol comes out. Whether it actually does get played is a whole different story, but it can be played. For those who don't know what this card does, send one tuner and one non-tuner from your face-up field to the graveyard, special summon both of the following monsters from your extra deck. One synchro monster that could be synchro summoned using the two monsters in the graveyard as material, and one fusion monster that could be fusion summoned using those two monsters in the graveyard as material. You cannot special summon from the extra deck the turn you activate this card, except fusion or synchro monsters, something Brandon doesn't have a problem with. And you can only activate one Harmonic Synchro Fusion per turn. So the idea here is that you're going to get Cartesia or Ecclesia on board, plus an Albaz or just another level 4, to be able to synchro summon into the Ecclesia of Black Dragon or whatever it's called, the brand new one, and then like another fusion monster like Granganol or something along those lines. The idea here is you're just turboing out a bunch of guys to get massive advantage on the board. I do think that this card is a little cope. I think it is similar to the concept of duality when that came out way a while back, where branded players were playing it to like target the Granganol to tribute out Dragoon, and on paper that sounded great, but as we saw later on in Brandon's lifespan, it got cut because duality on its own wasn't really doing anything. You had to establish a board first to be able to go for duality, but on top of that, it just wasn't doing a whole lot even after that. There wasn't a whole lot of payoff. And I think Harmonic Synchro Fusion will be a similar scenario because you have to still get the level 4 tuner on the board like Cartesia or Quem or Ecclesia plus another level 4 guy like Albaz or whatever to then perform this card. So I think this is a little cope, but we'll have to see. But as we said, 8 listings pretty much bought off the market. And we're looking at about $15 a copy from verified sellers. For the collector's rare though, more listings, but $30 a copy. This, as a collector rare, was about $10 a copy a couple months ago, and now it's sitting at about $30. And that's going to be it for today's Market Watch. Like I said, we had a lot to talk about, but for the most part, it was branded related. Branded structure deck and the new support coming out in Burst Protocol has really given people another reason to play the deck other than just puppet locking or Ido locking or Mjolnir locking. People have decided to start experimenting with other ways to actually play the deck, and it's genuinely terrifying. Just the spell card alone, the Fallen and the Virtuous, is really powerful card and really scary alone. Like even before the support and burst protocol, branded is like kind of a threat again because that spell card is pretty cracked. But I am, of course, curious to hear what you all think, so make sure you leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're already like competitive-based content, whether it is advanced or Genesis-style format. But also, comment down below what cards I should look at in next week's Market Watch and your opinions on maybe if some of these cards are cope. But with that, I'll see you all in the next one. See ya.